Disclaimer. The views and opinions expressed in Radio DMG may or may not be the views and opinions of the DMG Ice family of sites. All music used in this podcast is the property of whoever made it, and no copyright infringement is intended. God bless this albatross, and hold on tight for the awesome you are about to receive.
It's good to be the king.
And welcome to Radio DMG. This is episode 10 for Thursday, May 12th, 2011. And PlayStation Network is still down. Awkward. So, let's go ahead and talk about today's episode. Actually, I think because this is going to be one of our more interesting and varied episodes, I think I should just let you be surprised by what's going down in this episode. So there's not going to be much foreplay here, but the content is going to be awesome. So awesome. So awesome. So let's get right down to it. And if you're able to tell from that music, the game I'm going to talk about real quick because I don't like to do what you've been playing segments, because I feel that they can sometimes get a little redundant when every week you're like, well, I touched Peggle and League of Legends again. You know, it's just the same as somebody saying, well, I played some games and I can't when I go and I see other segments where they're like, where's what we're playing now on possibly some type of humongous bomb type podcast, they sit there and they go, well, we're playing this, but we really can't talk about the mechanics. Is it any good? Yes, it's really good. And pizza, cakes, donuts. But then you get stuff where it's like, oh, what have you been playing? Same thing we've been playing every week, Pinky. And I realize that those can get really dull really quickly. Not to insult anybody on that, but honest to goodness, unless the jokes are up to par, and unless you have somebody else to talk to while talking about it, and you don't live with them or something like that, or there's something like that, you know, you can't really get a good segment out of that. And since a lot of these are solo efforts, I'm not going to bore you too much with that. However, I am going to talk about Mighty Milky Way, which is a pseudo-sequel to Mighty Flip Champs on the DSiWare service. It came out this week for 800 DSiWare points, and it's from Way Forward, and it's good. In fact, that last little musical segment we had, it's from the soundtrack, which you can either get for free or you can do the right thing and pay for it on, it's Vert. Vert did it this time around. And the music in that game is pretty great, isn't it? That's from the Water Level. That was the song that we had on just a moment ago, and that's from the Water Levels of Mighty Milky Way. The music in there is pretty great. From the title screen, which has a Vocaloid singing an odd little remix of the Mighty Flip Champs theme, to all the neat little, the main character talks in French, sort of, and it's really bizarre. I think the main character may also be dating a T-Rex who also shows up at the end of each batch of levels to shoot at you with his eye lasers. The main point is that your character starts out on a little planet, think kind of like the Little Prince, and she jumps from planet to planet. You can also make other planets with planet candy, and it's kind of like Super Mario Galaxy, in a way, because of its use of gravity. You have to use the gravity by pulsing or shooting at the planets to propel yourself through space and avoid obstacles and enemies and T-Rex eye laser beams. It's a weird game. Essentially, the main character, Luna, she steps over the table to enter the void. Because at the end of this, you're going toward a black hole or something that warps you off to another section. There's no real plot to it. I'm not sure why she's doing this, why she's randomly creating and destroying planets for seemingly no reason. But I don't care. It's a quirky, fun game, and you should totally check it out. We'll have a final review up sometime soon, and we might even read that review to you. Although, we are going to start reading reviews here at Radio DMG. In fact, today we started out with Super Mario Land. But before we get to that, we're going to play another musical tune. And we're also going to go to the Newsity. So, hang on to whatever you're hanging on to, if you're able to hang on to it in public. And here we go.
This is Min May. You're listening to Radio DMG. Oh, Rick.
Welcome back to Radio DMG. I'm your host, Philip Wesley, and we're about to commence with the newsity. So, I was working on my news outline yesterday to launch this episode yesterday when a lot of our speculation was just thrown out of the window by an 11th hour release from Nintendo. Apparently, let me check my notes here a moment. The Nintendo 3DS eShop is apparently going to launch on June 6th in the United States and Europe, and June 7th in Japan, instead of in May. It's kind of nice to know an exact date, because sometimes waiting and not knowing is the worst possible scenario. So, yes, the Nintendo 3DS eShop is apparently going to launch on June 6th in the United States instead of May. And it's kind of a little odd that they did that, because there was a DSiWare update that they just kind of snuck up on everybody on, I think it was Wednesday or Tuesday or Wednesday. And they didn't say what it did, but apparently it prepped your your DSi, to be able to transfer DSiWare over to the 3DS and eventually to other DSi's. That's interesting. So there was a bit of speculation that the 16th was going to be the launch date, because on the 17th they have a developers conference for the eShop to promote some of the 3DS's new features. However, this is not the case. Apparently, the big thing coming out on Monday, the 16th, would be apparently Chrono Trigger for the Virtual Console on the Nintendo Wii. If you don't own the vastly amazing Nintendo DS version of Chrono Trigger, and all you have is, if you don't own any of the other stuff there, and all you have is a Wii, you cannot pass this up. If you didn't get to play it on the Super Nintendo, or if you can't find it on the Super Nintendo for under a couple hundred, because it's kind of expensive, the original Chrono Trigger with the original Ted Woolsey translation will be on Virtual Console. But that's a console news thing. We don't really need to talk about that. However, I am going to talk about one more thing that's not really handheld video game related. It's some older newsity coupled with some newer newsity, and let's see. Funimation announced today, well actually they announced a while back, that they licensed Panty and Stocking with Garter Belts. They'll get the first DVDs, Blu-rays for that out in late 2011, early 2012 on DVD and Blu-ray, full sets. And they also licensed the comedy drama Princess Jellyfish. I don't remember what the name of that is in Japanese. It starts with a K, but it was a dramedy, if you will, about I watched the first 2 episodes of it and was like, oh, okay, this is cool. I could probably watch more of this. And then I didn't. I know that's not the most glowing review of it, but it seems pretty decent. The main character is kind of a little bit of a introvert, so it's kind of like a cross between Genshinken, Welcome to the NHK, and some of those type of things with dramatic comedy flair. So it might be worth a look when it comes out. What's worth a look right now is The Illusionist. No, not the thing with Paul Giamatti. Is it Paul Giamatti? No, it's Edward Norton. No, I think it was Edward Norton and Jessica Biel were in a movie called The Illusionist. This is not that movie. The Illusionist is the movie that we were talking about in our Oscar episode, and it's out on DVD and Blu-ray now, and definitely worth checking out. Also out this week for 3DS is Dream Trigger, which is a bullet hell shoot 'em up that combines Lumens, Ikaruga, and Minesweeper. If that sounds a bit confusing, it is. It's also very, very difficult. So, if you're one of those people waiting for a hardcore game to hit the 3DS and you're already sick of Super Street Fighter 4, pick up Dream Trigger and cry yourself to sleep because you most likely probably don't have the skills to play it. That being said, next week, Dead or Alive Dimensions comes out, or rather bounces its way onto the store shelves, and that should be pretty good. I'm not going to make any type of Team Ninja jokes because those are tired and played out. But I will mention something about Bandai Namco announcing Soul Calibur 5 for the Xbox and PS3 consoles in 2012. It's also coming to Cafe. Probably. Yeah. But I guess I can mention that Soul Calibur 5 is not the only Soul Calibur related project being worked on currently. 3DS and NGP owners won't be left out in the cold on this one. So, look for a probable announcement in June at some type of event that has like 3 E's in its name for some reason. Oh, there's also an announcement from the Bandai Namco conference that for Tekken Blood Vengeance. Tekken Blood Vengeance, or TBV, not to be confused with HPV or other something V's, will be a 3D CG movie in Japan. So it's one of those things with like the funky glasses. I know, 3D with glasses. How old school can you get? Anyways, that will be out in Japan in, I think, August, but they're already working a dub for it for release in the United States. So I guess and maybe suppose that this brings some form of closure to a previous Radio DMG episode. You're welcome. Yeah, it's a Tekken movie that's not the live-action travesty, and it has a tie-in with an unannounced video game. It's got a tie-in with just itself. It's just the movie. The CG will be from the same company that did the Resident Evil CG film that was Resident Evil Degeneration, which was okay. I wasn't expecting it to have an amazing story, and I wasn't disappointed in that. The director, writer, and producers are from Appleseed Ex Machina, which doesn't have an amazing story but has really great action sequences, Cowboy Bebop, which has a sporadic story, some pretty good writing. So it's the same writer, so who knows, maybe it'll be like one of the stronger episodes of Cowboy Bebop. And one of the film directors is from worked on Vandred, which, let's see, we've got Appleseed Ex Machina, which is decent and good, Cowboy Bebop, which is great, and Vandred, which is decent to great. So it should be cool. Konami announced that they're going to get Metal Gear Solid Snake Eater out for the 3DS this year, and mentioned that they have more games for 3DS and NGP that will be announced at E3. Good. It should be interesting to see what Sony does, because they still have not announced what they're going to do in terms of free content and such to make up for the lack of PlayStation Network. Here's what I suggest people do to make up for PlayStation Network being down. If you're a developer and you were working on something for the PlayStation Network, like say a PSP Mini, and you couldn't get it onto PlayStation Network because it was down, or if you were working on a PlayStation Network game for the PS3, you know what? The network for the Nintendo Project Cafe has not had any downtime because, it's not out yet. And Xbox Live looks pretty decent too. But I would actually mention that 3DSware launches in June, and it's bound to be more stable than PlayStation Network. And when DSiWare or the eShop goes down, nobody's credit card information is stolen. So, there you go. Just a wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Maybe you should cancel your PlayStation 3 PSN project and put it on a worthwhile system like the 3DS or possibly Project Cafe. Dun dun dun. So Nintendo also had a retail conference recently, and they reaffirmed that Star Fox 64 3D will be out in July, and then they stated that it does not have online multiplayer. And I read that and I thought about it for a moment, and I was like, okay, maybe I'm not the person who should be upset about it, because I honestly feel that Star Fox 64 multiplayer was a lot like the original Halo in multiplayer, in that it was only really fun when I'm playing with someone who, if they're being horribly cheap, I can throw my shoe at them. You can't do that to people online. There's no way to hit somebody with your shoe through a wireless connection or through the internet yet. So until I can do that, I think that games like Star Fox 64 or Mario Party or Halo are better with people in the same room, where when they're being horribly cheap, I can smack them with the back of the heel and tell them. It also has download play, so if only one of you has the game, all four can play. So, I'm not too disappointed. It has a couple different modes. There's the N64 mode and the 3DS mode. In the 3DS mode, you can control the ship by tilting. In N64 mode, it's buttons all the way, baby. And that's kind of how it should be, if you ask me. So, that's actually it for the news. There's not too much newsity. So let's go ahead and get to some music and reviewsity. But before anybody decides to complain that there's way too much music in this particular broadcast, let me remind you that Radio DMG, when we launched it over a decade ago on DMG Ice, from some other, it was like through a third-party website, like Live Talk or Live Shoe or something like that, Livewire. I'm trying to remember what it was. But anyways, it was 24/7, a radio station where we only had Game Boy music that I recorded off of my Game Boy or that I got from different developers. So we went from being only music to some weird and awkward attempts at being a normal podcast or something, a normal broadcast, to what you're hearing here. So if you don't like the amount of music that's in this podcast, I think this is the point where I put on shades and I say, deal with it and enjoy it, because we're going to read your review next after this short musical break. Land, game by Nintendo, reviewed by Philip Wesley, save files, none. Released 1989, works with the Game Boy, Game Boy Pocket, Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advance, Game Boy SP, Advanced SP. ESRB rated E. Rating descriptions, mild fantasy violence. Quick opinion, own. Opening snide remarks. Well, this is a re-review of Super Mario Land. If you were wondering, part of the revision of the reviews section at DMG Ice means that all of the old reviews and old scores are being redone. We have all the old reviews available for download in a handy zip file for those people who missed them. In order to get a good, honest review in the new format for Super Mario Land, I had to bust out the old greenish screen Game Boy, placing that cartridge into the system, feeling it in my hands again, and turning it on to that familiar ding chime was a completely religious experience, if not slightly sensual. 30 minutes later, the beautiful ending music is playing in my Pioneer SEL40 stereo headphones. I am typing this review with a single nostalgia-tinged tear running lightly down my face. I think I lost the reason why I love portable games. A while back, I think I lost that. Maybe it was the introduction of touch mechanics. Maybe the loss happened when the PSP hit the scene with amazing 3D console-style graphics. Maybe the wonder died when I first saw the 3DS, the Nintendo 3DS. Maybe it was when I heard Satoru Iwata refer to the 3DS as a portable console and not a handheld video game system. Whatever it was, I needed to be reminded why handhelds evolved and why I still cared about them. Handheld games have become disposable again thanks to the iPhone and the advent of downloadable content. I have fond memories of Super Mario Land. It was the first Game Boy game I ever owned. The same game pack still works after all these years. I did not have to blow on the Game Boy or the game pack to get to work. It was just as I remembered it so many years ago. Let me go ahead and ramble a little bit before I get to the main parts of the review. I received Super Mario Land for Christmas one year, and it changed my life. It was one of the presents I opened, and it came with a picture of a Game Boy that my parents had cut out of the Sears catalog. The actual Game Boy had been ordered, but because my military family was stationed in Germany, the device was not there yet. I read through the instruction manual for Super Mario Land. I read the ads for Nintendo Power included in the box. I admired the box and the screenshots of the game on the back of the box. I dreamt of Mario's adventures in Sarsaland and how I would defeat the evil space lord Tatanga in my Sky Pop, Marine Pop, and with the new Super Ball power-up item. I pondered the odd spellings of the names. Kenopi, Packenflowers, and others. My parents went ahead and bought me a Game Boy at the Base Exchange shortly after Christmas. When the second Game Boy came, it went to my sister because we could play the included Tetris game with each other over the Game Link cable. When I first played Super Mario Land, it was really difficult, and I loved every moment of it. To me, Super Mario Land was nearly perfect. I gave the game a 92% out of 100% when I reviewed it on this site over a decade ago. Well, how will I feel upon revisiting this game 1 decade later? Let's get to the gameplay descriptions. Super Mario Land is a bit of an odd bird in the world of Super Mario games. It is the creation of Gunpei Yokoi, and not the creation of Shigeru Miyamoto. Gunpei Yokoi took the familiar concept of Super Mario Bros. And stripped out Luigi, Princess Peach, Toadstool, Bowser, and the whole Mushroom Kingdom, and stood the series on its head. He diluted it to its natural, finest wine. The turtles explode after you jump on them. There are 2 side-scrolling shooter levels. The familiar flower power gives you the Super Ball instead of fireballs. The Super Ball bounces off of objects and can be used to collect coins. This new physics mechanic allows for the use of some strategy in defeating enemies and clearing out hidden coin caves. The game has a total of 12 levels, and each level is themed according to a world culture. The first area, Borobuto, is an Egyptian-themed area with palm trees, pyramids in the background, and a final world boss based off of the mythical Sphinx. In the second area, Muda, is based off of Atlantis with the robots and a final area that takes place in an underwater ruin. The final area, whoa, yeah. The final area has you guiding the Marine Pop submarine through an automatic side-scrolling shooter level similar to R-Type. The goal at this point is to break out the walls and get to the giant seahorse at the end of the level. The third world is the Eastern Kingdom, and it is based off of the Moa statues at Easter Island. It takes you through a cave before placing you at the steps of a ruined temple. The last area, is the Chia Kingdom, and is based off of a mystical version of China. You are attacked by hopping Chinese vampires, Jiangxi, they're called Jiangxi, that are called Bionpi. In Japanese, they're called Bionpi, which is a hopping noise, like Bionpi, kind of like how Pika is a sound, or Nya is a sound. Bionpi, it's a sound effect. Then the stages go further up towards a floating fortress. Oddly, Tatang is riding in a ship called Pagosu, which may or may not be a horrible pun about the Taoist god Pangu. The last level is a side-scrolling shooter level. The general gameplay is a simple trip from point A to point B in a side-scrolling level. Mario runs, he jumps and stomps on things just as he's always done. There are pipes you can enter that take you to hidden coin caves. And there are hidden lifts, blocks, and coins to find. When you collect 100 coins or a heart, you earn an extra life. Pretty simple stuff. The game also keeps track of your score as you beat the enemies. Level design is full of wonderful things that will kill you. I know. Vast pits, moving platforms, and multiple leveled areas. Since you cannot go backwards in a level, which is a throwback to the original game, you can miss power-ups and coins. Some areas have multiple path choices. For this reason, at the end of each normal, non-vehicle level are 2 doors. One is easy to get to, and the other requires you to get to the top of a wall. If you go in the top door, and you get to play a bonus game that involves a moving Mario, a ladder, and either a Super Ball power flower, or lives. Stop Mario at the right moment to get an item. Here's what I liked about this game. The vehicle levels are an excellent addition to the Mario gameplay, and I wish they'd bring them back. They honestly should. The gameplay worlds are surprisingly deep upon investigation of their influences, and the level design is very excellent, with multiple ways to get through levels, and multiple ways to die trying. What did I hate about this? Well, this is a very short game, and the shooting vehicle levels do not last long enough. Mario does not pause when he takes damage, and this allows you to muscle your way past some of the bosses. You could call it a glitch, or you could call it a feature. I call it playing it too safe. I think that they should make you work for it. But that's me. Now let's talk about the graphics. Super Mario Land is designed a bit like Super Mario Bros. In terms of game resolution. While it looks fairly clean on the Game Boy Pocket and later versions of the system, it is very small on the original Game Boy. There are some areas in the Eastern Kingdom with waterfall graphics in the background that serve to make it harder to see your jumps. I think that was on purpose. The design is very simple, very small, and not very detailed. The graphics actually add to the challenge as the areas you are jumping toward are small and sometimes you have to be precise. Mario is only a few pixels tall and the world is very vast. You get used to it pretty quickly and it feels like the NES version of Super Mario Bros. What I like about it is it's kind of simple, and I like the themed worlds. I also hate the fact that it's kind of simple, looks small, and kind of hard to see on the old Game Boy. Yeah, that's probably why I wear glasses. Now, let's get to the sound and music description. Koji Kondo did not work on this game. However, he will not be missed, as the music of Hirokazu Tanaka is brilliant. He's the guy, by the way, who, if I remember correctly, I think he worked on Animal Crossing and other games like that. Each area is appropriately tuned to match the theme of it. The compositions are very catchy, stunning, and unforgettable. It says something about your game when the only music that feels drab is the Invincible music that was originally composed by Jacques Offenbach. The Invincible music is a short version of the Galop Inferno from Offenbach's Orpheus in the Underworld opera. The other music is more Mario style. The opening moments of the game are incredible, and the ending credit music is breathtaking. I would not suggest docking points because of the Invincible music being derivative. Go listen to Ocarina of Time or Twilight Princess. Well, the music may not have a lot of layers to it. Oh, whoops, sorry. Aha. Yeah, go listen to Ravel's Pavane for a Dead Princess, and then go back and listen to The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time or Twilight Princess. Princess Zelda's theme is almost note for note Ravel's Pavane for a Dead Princess. It's kind of really bad when you think about it. But, whatever. I'm not going to dock any points for that because it shows more culture than derivativeness. You know what I'm saying? Well, the music may not have a lot of layers to it because a lot of the chiptune music in here is very simple. Just very catchy. The songs never get on my nerves or make me wish to turn down the volume. The sound effects are fairly stock and fit the action on the screen. What I liked, catchy music, incredible ending music. It's kind of like da na 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 da 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 na 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 da 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 na 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 na. Anyways, I didn't like the little stock sound effects, but whatever. No biggie. Incredible ending music. The play control on this one, and the game design for it, well, you use the directional pad, or D-pad, to move, or control pad, to move Mario left or right. The A button jumps and the B button shoots a power ball if you have one. Hold the B button to run and jump farther. If you are Big Mario, if you've got a mushroom, then you can hold down before you jump to jump slightly higher. You can also crouch and push forward to wedge Mario into some smaller areas in the game. The game seems designed around letting you do tricks like this, like the aforementioned wedge and high jumping to get extra coins. There are 2 hidden coin caves per normal world, and the action does not let up in the game. Controls in the Marine Pop or Sky Pop are simple. Move with the control pad and hit any button to fire a missile. Now, those are auto-scrolling too, so you have to watch out that you don't get crushed by the walls or pushed into enemies. One more thing that there's a couple neat little glitches you can do, but I'm not completely sure they're glitches. They're hard to describe, so I'm not going to even bother writing them down or saying them out here. Check it up on YouTube sometime. Craziness. The design is simple yet elegant in its inherent honesty. This feels like a Mario game with new settings and powers. Gunpei Yokoi has delivered a game that feels polished and complete. What I liked about this was the great level design, easy to use controls, and the fact that everything responds appropriately, and when I push a button, it works. There's no lag. What did I hate about it? It is a bit short. That's about it. Well, what would I improve about this? Only thing that could really be done to this title is to give it a graphical makeover and orchestrated music. Maybe an extra world, but that would be kind of pushing it. I recommend this if you like the original Super Mario Bros. What do I have to say at the end of this? Well, my final words are that Super Mario Land is worth tracking down on the original Game Boy, and it still holds up as an entertaining game today. Going back to this game was like revisiting an old friend and discovered that they had not really changed, and that was a good thing. This game may be a bit tough for beginning players, but the level design is solid and the music is worth whatever price of admission is presented. Now I'm going to get to my scores on this. I'm going to give it a 5 stars in gameplay, 3 in graphics, 5 stars in sound and music, 4 stars in play control game design, 5 stars in value for your money. Star total is 66%. Personal opinion merit, 24. Final score, 90%. Which gives it an A rating. Thank you.
This is Lynn Hardy, and you are listening to Radio DMG.
Before we start our special feature for this episode, even though we're already plenty long as it is, a little bit more length won't hurt you much. So, we're going to go ahead and we're going to run the concert that we got to tape from Non-DesCon 2010. I was wondering when I'd get to use this audio, so I figured I might as well. It's a little noisy, but it's a concert, so of course it is. It has a Kazaa and Echo Stream, and it's quite great. It's pretty cool. I will make a note. Before the one of our previous musical numbers was Don't Sell the Barrel to the Monkey by Super 8-Bit Brothers off of their album Brawl. Yeah, check them out. We'll have a link to them in the show notes. Quirky little song, pretty fun. And now we're going to go ahead and start the feature. So grab some popcorn and
Ladies and gentlemen, if you were here before, you know what a treat you're about to receive. Because we have a brand new Japanese rock band with us, whose vocalist has sung for anime including Bleach. Please welcome, direct from Tokyo, Kaza!
Thank you very much. Please wait a second. Maybe he's having some trouble. Thank you very much. We are Kazuha from Japan. Thank you. We are so happy to open for Echo Stream. We know they are a great band. So have a great time, please. Thank you. Thank you very much. Again, drums Louis, guitar Hideki, and bass he's helping us. This time on the tour. He's our good friend, Masa. Thank you. Oh, by the way, I'm Kazuha. Thank you. Voices in my head, I'm trying to figure out that there's a place for you to. Voices in my head, telling me that you are not the one who fills my heart forever. So don't take me wrong, just hear me when I say I'm always of your love. So please don't you cry for all I have to you tonight. I can't let it be. Even when can't you see not feeling without you? Let me know I'll be so long. You should not alone be so long. So leave me, just leave me. Give me the slightest of that there is some spaces for you. Something in my head make me realize that you are not one by one. So don't take me wrong, just hear me when I say I'm always such a love, but never was so wrong. So please don't you stay, 'cause now I'm tired of you tonight. I can't let it be. Anything where can't see that I feel without you. Let me be, long I'll be strong. You should know that I won't be so long. So leave me to think, kiss away. After this, thank you. We are Kazuha from Japan again. Thank you very much. When you reach this
gentlemen, from Tokyo, Kaza! Now, if you'll give us just a moment, joining us from New York and Japan will be Echo Stream.
are so happy to be here. This is our first time Denver. Nice to see you guys. Yes.
We just have to change the keyboard over. How y'all doing? Dangerous intersection. All this work for one little keyboard. Thank you. So in case you don't know, we're over in the Artist Valley hanging out, meeting y'all. So come over after the show and chill with us a little bit, alright?
Okay. There we go.
we're playing halftime at the cosplay. Right? So please come.
Ladies and gentlemen, Echo Stream. You can find Echo Stream in Artists County, where they will be signing autographs and selling merchandise. And as you heard, they will be playing in the halftime show at tomorrow's costume contest.
It's another episode of Radio DMG coming to a close. And now we have to figure out what it is that we learned today. Actually, what we learned is if you have a lot of cool music and stuff and things to put in there, you can sit down and make something awesome. or you can make another episode of Radio DMG, which we'll probably do very shortly, very soon, so look forward to it. I'm your host, Philip Wesley. You've been listening to Radio DMG, and good night.
Talk shoes. Recorded live. Hello. This is Harold the H-Bomb Price, and you are listening to the DMG Ice podcast preview extravaganza. Yes, so big, it's an extravaganza. Normally, if this were a real podcast, Phil would be with me. But this is to test out our system and to let you know what you can expect. First, this was a real podcast. We talk about what's going on in our lives, what's going on in gaming, what we're playing. Next, we go over the upcoming releases, what we're looking forward to, big announcements. Then after that, we have features planned from roundtables, guests, talks about retro games. Don, if you're listening, we gotta have you when we talk about Faceball 2000. And of course, we're gonna have a review or two, maybe some editorials. Anyway, that's about it. Yes, the real podcasts will be longer, but I'm still setting a goal for 30 minutes because I've been listening to other podcasts in preparation, Nintendojos, Cheap Ass Gamers, and the biggest bummer with those is those are an hour or two, and I know not everybody has an hour or two to listen to a podcast. Our goal is to keep it under 30 minutes. Anyway, this is the DMG Ice podcast preview extravaganza. Hopefully, Phil and I will have the first official podcast soon. Till then, thank you for listening. This has been H-Bomb, and I approve this message.
Morning, Maya.